welcome, and we are in a Mk1 Ford Focus. It's a really interesting car to do. This is not my car personally, but it is a family vehicle, which we've very kindly been lent to film this today. What are your thoughts, Martin?
Let's remember that this took over from the Escort, didn't it?
Yeah, it did, yeah.
This is the first new, all name change, design and everything. This was all brand new for Ford, this. And a lot of people didn't, let's say, warm to it straight away.
Well, it's an interesting point because when the Focus came out, of course, Ford actually carried on selling the Escort for another couple of years.
They did as a bit of a softener, didn't they?
But yeah, you know, because obviously when it came out, I was talking, well, 21 years ago coming up to now,
yeah.
It was part of Ford's new edge design, as they called it.
This was a radical design,
It was, yeah.
Both exterior and interior.
New edge design is a new way of thinking for Ford, and we are flowing the concept into most of our new models over the next few years. If you take the cues from Car and from Puma, we flowed these cues into Cougar and extended it a little bit further.
You've got all the nice curves and sharp edges.
Yeah.
Everything's completely different from what you'd expect with Ford at the time.
The Focus, of course, was Ford's new edge programme. The first one, of course, being the original KA.
Yeah.
Which in itself broke new ground, I think it's fair to say. Like you say, compared to the Escort that went before, it is radically different. I mean...
Well, the thing is, also, I never owned an Escort.
Right.
My brother had an Escort, a very old one, a Cosmopolitan, a white one.
Right.
Really nice for its sort of car, and so I was one of the first in the family then to get this as a car for the Focus of this time, and my brother even copied me and went and got an LX version of this.
Yeah.
But this Zetec one is just a little bit step up, isn't it?
Well, yeah, the Zetec, it's a bit confusing really, because they all actually had Zetec engines.
Well, they did.
But Zetec was also a trim level in itself, and it was meant to be sort of mildly sporty, and hence on this car you've got the nice alloy wheels, you've got the front fog lights and that kind of thing.
Just some little extras into it.
Exactly, yeah. As we're in the interior, looking at the dash, I mean, it was miles different to the Escort, wasn't it? It was really light years ahead.
It were leaps and bounds different. They had to completely separate this from the Escort in every way possible, not just the name.
Even now, sort of 20 years later, it still looks kind of, in a way...
Do you know, I'll say it's very...
modern?
I'd say sort of retro but still futuristic sort of thing.
Yeah.
I like how all these angles, everything all follows. And this is a thing that some brand new cars continue with the theme now, where it follows into the door line and things. We have the stereo, obviously, which I love, the flip-off panel, which I had with my Puma and also my Fiesta Zetec S.
This, of course, was quite okay at the time. Obviously, compared to modern cars now that have big screens everywhere, it's a lot different.
For the time, this was a very good feature, this, actually.
Yeah,
it really was.
And obviously, you've got a lot of nice features. You've got your air conditioning, your heated rear window, and your heated windscreen, which actually still works, I'm reliably informed.
Yes,
so that's pretty good.
One thing as well, with these, but everything was solid rubber. They had this fixation with solid rubber buttons in there. I know there is a lot of like black pieces on it, but I do like the fact that it complements them with this brushed
aluminium
effect in the centre.
Yeah, I think it brings up what would otherwise be quite not a dull interior, but a dull colour for the dashboard. It just brightens it up.
One thing I did like about the Focus, I really liked how they placed all the venting system in this car. I really loved these sort of vents where you could really swivel them as well as this sideways and that. They had a really good touch to them.
Yeah, I think that's really nice how they've managed to integrate everything into the design of the car.
There's one thing I've noticed, and it's only just been spotted now. Some viewers may remember I had an EcoSport.
Yeah.
And the button for adjusting the mirrors on the EcoSport, and let's not forget that was a 17-plate car. Yeah. Was the button that I can see right there on this 2002.
2004,
yeah. Sorry, 2004 Focus.
Yeah.
The same button. So just look what they were doing with the EcoSport sharing parts.
There's the old phrase, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, type springs to mind, you know.
I always noticed there was a lot of legroom and plenty of space in this car.
Yeah. Oh, it certainly feels very comfortable. I've been in the back as well, and it's certainly really very comfortable. Ford got it absolutely bang on with this car, I think it's fair to say. So you've got the power socket there.
Yeah, what they decided then to call powered outlets.
Power outlet, yeah, so new thing then.
Cigarette things.
And then you've got some storage there as well.
That slid out.
Yeah.
And you had your nice, again, a hardware in rubber for your cup holders and such. Everything was all well designed and well shaped out for this start of what is, as we still know, the Focus today.
Yeah.
But it was the benchmark, wasn't it? It was where we were all beginning from with this car here.
Yeah. I mean, it's an impressive car. I mean, obviously, this is not a modern, expensive vehicle, but
It's not.
You got to basically put yourself back at the time it was new, and when you think back to the time when it was new, it was bang up to date.
Well,
I mean,
I remember when I got mine, and mine was from new, and it was these knees then. They were all just out, new and fresh.
If you compared this car at the time against a Vauxhall Astra or one of its rivals like that, there's no doubting the Focus was light years ahead in the way its design, wasn't it?
I think they even got the name right, Focus.
And that's not me being unfair to the Astra, because I had a Mark IV Astra and I did like the car.
I've had Vauxhalls of myself, Astras as well.
I've had a lot.
I will agree there. There were simple things like your boot release button.
Very handy and good point this, because I had this on a Fiesta.
Yeah.
The boot release for this car, for the inside, is actually just on the dash there. Very, very handy to have that there. You didn't have to fumble around in the back with the key or anything.
On the key fob, you also had a button which you could press, which actually opened the boot as well.
Yeah, you do. Yeah. I suppose the reason for that is that on the back of this car, there's no button to press to open the boot.
Well, there isn't. No.
So you just lift it up.
Yeah.
So I imagine that's why they've got that there. But it was a very handy feature.
But I thought it was a good feature. I noticed when it pulled up earlier on, just before we started filming, and I was surprised how now it doesn't look a fairly big car.
No.
But when you're inside it, it feels such a very spacious, roomy car.
Yeah.
A bit like a TARDIS sort of car. And I'd forgotten how roomy it actually was inside. Even the nature of the shape of the car, you don't lose no headroom.
I think that probably is a testament to the design of the car.
Yeah, it's really stood a test of time as this car it has.
To feel nice and compact on the outside, but nice and roomy on the inside.
Yeah.
There's not as many cars as you think, believe it or not, that can actually pull that off.
Not now, no.
And it is nice, and it's not like it's completely devoid of safety features either.
No, I mean, we've got even passenger airbag in this one.
We've got drives airbag, passenger airbag. We've actually got side ones in this car as well.
Yes, I remember mine having side airbags.
The Revon putting them in then by 2004. I think it was only optional when the car was launched, that type of thing. Obviously you can have ones that are much higher spec than this. You can have ones with full leather, heated seats, sunroofs, that kind of thing.
The gear one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You got a right lot of spec with that one.
Yeah.
I think even one actually came with, I may be wrong on this, but I'm sure I saw one of these which actually had like a polished wooden trim.
Yeah, like that was the gear.
Or like a dark polished effects rather than this brushed thing.
I remember some gear ones having like a wood effect trim, where with it's aluminium on this car, and also like a cream interior.
That's it. But we're also going on to the lines of, we had them that was the like saloon version, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Which
the saloon one.
See many of now.
No, I mean the Focus, of course, you got a 3 or 5 door hatchback like this one is. Then you had the Estate, and Ford also offered the Mark 1 as a saloon as well, which in the UK at least, shall we say, didn't exactly set the sales charts on fire.
No, these were the sellers, weren't they?
They were, yeah.
I think this is what we was brought to the attention of how the car was meant to be like this. You saw a lot of Estates.
Yeah.
Estates were really good, to be fair. You got the same room, but more space in the back.
There was loads of space in the back of the Estate.
They were really good with the Estates. And as so with the new Focus now, just before this new Mark's come out, you see the Estate versions of even the ST.
Yeah.
So an Estate version of these sort of cars is still a good feature.
It is. The saloon, I think, was probably where the new Edge design, as it were, probably worked the least, I think.
Yes, it sort of didn't gel with us right, did the saloon, did it?
No.
Over here, not the same. So
but yeah,
with this car we had a 1.6 engine, didn't we?
This is a 1.6 engine,
yeah.
Probably, I would say, the biggest seller at the time.
I think it was one of the most popular ones, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's what they really sold.
The diesel versions back when this car was new weren't, say, as refined as they are these days.
No, you were still on the borderline of some diesels were poor, some were just getting there, sort of thing, weren't you? So,
you only bought a diesel then, I think, probably if you really needed a diesel for the mileage.
I think if there was anyone looking for one of these now as a good, basic, cheap runaround, I'd sort of go for this spec.
Exactly, yeah.
I think this is
certainly going to be the easiest to find.
Yeah.
And yes, these cars are getting extremely cheap now. You can pick them up almost next to nothing. But that doesn't necessarily mean they're a bad buy, and they'll still give many years of reliable motoring, I'm sure, if they're looked after.
Yeah. It was the same with the inside as the outside. This was a cutting edge design then. It was. Everything as you saw this was completely away from what everyone knew as the Escort was. The only thing that you'd find on this, what were on an Escort, is the Ford badge.
Yeah.
And that's how literally it was a change, wasn't it?
It was. Also, this is 1.6 Zetec, so it's a fairly sort of run-of-the-mill model, isn't it? Even all these years later, it still looks like a modern design.
Well, it is.
It's dated too badly, hasn't it?
It's aged nicely. It really has, as this design. Everything you see about it was cutting edge at the time, wasn't it?
It is a nice design. Everything is sort of the way expected to be, but we've done it in an interesting way. I mean, look at the indicators here. You know,
yeah, you mentioned
the shape
it. I just said something earlier. Obviously, the shaped indicators runs with all the design of the car, but I even sought out an aftermarket where you could change them over for the clear indicator.
Yeah.
And I did things like that with mine. I really tampered
proper
with mine
modification at the time, if I remember right.
There would actually. I got mud flaps for mine and everything, and yeah, I really liked mine. It was a nice drive. If I remember rightly, can I just point this out? I'm guessing here, but I think I'll be right. Yep, I liked that.
You like that, didn't you?
I always like that feature, but the only thing is, if people mess about with your car, sometimes you come to your car finding badge like that. But I still like it.
Well, I think the reason they stopped doing that was they found that basically from road salt and stuff like that were getting into it.
Yeah.
This is what they call sort of a clear glass light.
It is,
you
yeah.
can see all the insides of the
Well, as you notice, a lot of modern cars are now all done this way, aren't they?
This is commonplace now,
Yeah.
but it wasn't 20 years ago.
No. I love these rear clusters as well for the lights.
Again, this was a popular thing at the time.
I liked how they were up here.
Yeah, where cars moved from having lights down at the bottom there, up to the top.
Yeah.
Again, that was something quite different.
There was one of these which had a small body kit on it. Give you a bit of a spoiler, some side skirts and different edges of the back of the bumper and so on.
Yeah.
And I used to like that, but there was one trend that were going where you could get some aftermarket covers for these.
Yeah, I see.
When you see the car like this, by today's standards, it seems a little small when you compare it with some cars, but then when you get inside it, it's very roomy.
And like I said to you earlier on in the video, you know, that is a testament really to design the car.
Yeah.
A car that feels nice and compact and easy to drive on the outside. It has all the room you need on the inside.
We all know one thing that this car were really good for, was its handling, wasn't it?
Well, yes, moving on to that, I mean...
Well, this is the thing. For all I owned one and drove one like mad, I never knew what the little trick was to its handling.
So this car, and every Mk1 Focus, had a little party piece, and that party piece has its independent rear suspension. Now, Ford dropped this for the Mark II, and the reason they dropped this was down to cost.
Yeah.
It was more expensive to make and more complicated. But the party piece, like I say, was its ride and handling. This car had an exemplary ride for the time, and the handling, well, it handled better than any sort of small family car ever had a right to do, really, didn't it?
It did. I always found its handling were silky smooth, actually, for a car like this. It really was.
And I remember at the time, even sort of when this car was made, sort of right at the end of the production run for the Mark 1, even compared to its new arrivals at the time, cars that had been built since this had, it still outshone them in the ride and handling department.
It did. I can't fault how they used to handle these Focuses.
Well, mine, that was the Mk1 Focus.
Yes, a car that when I saw appearing, it looked like someone bringing my car back. It's just exactly the same.
Pretty
as
much
mine.
an exact replica of your old one, isn't it?
It's brought back some memories seeing this. It has. I mean, I really liked that car, and it was my first step on the ladder of owning Focuses. I've had lots in the past, right up to an RS, and I can't fault these cars.
Well, so I've never driven one myself. I've driven all sorts of Focuses, right from this one to sort of later ones, and they're really impressive cars.
They are.
You can see why they're so popular.
It's the car that really it didn't just step up from the Escort, it leaped because it completely changed.
You do realise sometimes when manufacturers change, update a car, sometimes it feels like a very small update, sometimes it doesn't feel like updated at all.
No.
But like you said, when this replaced the Escort, sort of in 1998, it was a massive
It
leap
really
forward.
broke a mould for Ford, did this car, Focus. I wondered if that's why they actually called it Focus. There might have been something in
I think they wanted to differentiate the name to make the car different. Yeah,
it has. I will stress, it has brought some very strange memories back because it seems such a long time since I owned mine.
And the thing is, as well, on OverDrive, of course, we do love doing cheap cars like this, don't we?
We do.
This can sound ridiculous. We do like doing the nice stuff, of course, but we do like doing really cheap cars.
We like doing any, but it's good now and again to see an old favourite like these.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
And me being a Ford man, as everyone knows, I like my Fords full stop. But because it's a car that's exactly like I own myself, it's just been a little bit of a stroll down more to memory lane, and that's Nicole doing that. Not getting sometimes.
Which Martin's got a very long memory lane of cars.
Yeah, a 21 car worth list, and most of them being Fords, so that tells you everything.
That tells you everything you need to know. It's been really enjoyable doing this today.
It's been a nice find, and thanks to your dad letting us do this.
He's very kindly lent us the car today to film. And we are going to wrap up there because it is absolutely freezing.
It is. As everyone will see, I've got a nut on, and I chose wisely putting a nut on because I'm still freezing with this on.
But I hope you enjoy the video. We certainly enjoyed making it, even though it has been very cold.
I can't wait till summer.
But today from us, I'm afraid that's it, and we'll see you in the next feature.
That's a wrap, and I hope Malcolm, if you pardon the pun, got all that in focus.
Bye. It certainly did, and
it broke the mould as well, did this sort of thing?
It broke the mould in terms of styling. It's also broke the mould in other ways, and that's what we're going to look at next. So let's have a look.
We'll have a look at the interior. We'll cut that bit because I said interior.
We'll have a look at the exterior.
We'll have a look at the exterior as well.
That's one for Malcolm.